why don't I present ideas as if they're an idea, not some perfectly constructed notion that is 100% true?
So I was doing CQC trips, South trips, and it was pretty cool. And you were there. Mm-hmm. That's when you were there. And then JP was the LPO at the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
What did you learn in sitting there teaching?
So now looking back, I always tell people that Trade It was actually the biggest learning experience that I ever had, because it's like the ultimate leadership lab. Mm-hmm. Because you get to watch two different styles of leadership go through, and you're completely detached. You have zero emotion or invested into that whatsoever. So you can armchair quarterback that stuff all day long. And it was where, I started realizing the difference in leadership. Because if you think about it, the talent is for the most part spread out pretty evenly. Yep.
You're gonna have some good guys. You're gonna have a handful of new guys. You're gonna have some E5 pipe hitters. You're gonna have some couple slugs. Like, the boys are gonna be pretty consistent most of the time.
Yep.
You're gonna get that. So yeah, it all boils down to just how is the leadership? How good is the leadership? And if leadership's good, platoon's gonna rock. And if the leadership sucks, we could have some problems.
Yep. So that's when I started seeing that, training is the same. And I was like, oh, okay, it really depends on that leadership, how they're going to do. And it was really cool to see, like, the leadership that did well, it was simply because they were humble. Like, you could just tell their attitude right off the bat. Yep. Like, they're like, when you give them, criticism or critiques or whatever, they're like, got it. Whereas the platoons that did terrible, they were just like, you could just tell they had attitudes about hearing anything, any feedback that you had to give them. And it was very blatant, like the difference between the platoons that had humble leadership and the platoons that just did not.
I would take this to the nth degree in my own head, because I always wanted to make sure that, hey, what am I doing? Am I doing a good job of getting through to this individual leader, right? And if it seems like this leader, like, maybe they have a big ego and they think they're a badass, I don't care. I always wanted to make sure that it wasn't me, that it wasn't my end. I was like, okay, you know what? The guy's got a big ego. It's okay. We want guys with big egos. Like, hey, you got to have a big ego. Let me rephrase that. There's not, you can't expect SEALs to not have some kind of ego. Like, hey, I know how to do this. Some level of confidence, right? So it's okay. I get it. You think you're a badass. Cool. I don't want to work for someone that doesn't think they're a badass, right? Cool. Yeah. I'm good with it. Okay, let's move forward with that. But man, you'd get these guys that occasionally, again, most of the leaders are like, cool, like, we're down. Occasionally, I remember one time we had this one leader coming through SAUC, and I talked to our civilian that worked there, who was a prior, SEAL. He was actually my TU SEA when I was platoon commander. And I said, hey, bro, man, just can you do me a favor? Just check me on this. Like, just look at this guy's face when I'm putting out word and just give me, because it seems to me like he doesn't want to hear anything from anybody. I just want to make sure I'm not totally off base, but can you just check him out? And so sure enough, like, as I'm talking, the guy be sitting there with his arms crossed. And again, I'm just saying, I'm not even like saying, dude, you're totally jacked up. I'm not saying anything like that. I'd say something like, hey, man, do you ever think about maybe, putting some vehicles over here on this target? And you can see the guy's like arms crossed. I'm just offering a suggestion, and the dude arm crossed. And we get done with that debrief, and that civilian comes up to me and he's like, bro, this guy's freaking crazy. Yeah. And I said, okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I guess the reason I'm saying this is because the guys in TRADET, the attitude of our guys in TRADET was just to try and help out our friends that are in the teams, like, that are in a platoon. That was the attitude. The attitude, there's no like, hey, I know how to do this, you don't. There was no, matter of fact, I wouldn't allow that kind of shit. If we had instructors like that, I would freaking pull them aside, because our instructors realize, like, oh, these guys are our friends, they're our teammates, they're getting ready to deploy. We need to do our best to help them out. Yeah. And a lot of those guys know as much as what we know. Right? So you got a guy that's got a bunch of experience, a bunch of deployments. They know as much as we know. So cool. We're not attacking them. We're not talking down to them. So my point is, if you have your friends that are trying to help you and you reject them, it's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. It's horrible, actually. And it'd be such a bummer to see. It'd be such a bummer to see. Because literally, like, every guy at Tradet was just, hey, these are my friends that I'm trying to help. And why aren't you open to us helping you, please? Like, we don't want you to get hurt, man. So, yeah, good times. This freaking great place to learn.
Yeah.
And I was lucky. I did that luckily when I was at SEAL Team 1 as a E5. I worked in our training cell, which is when the teams used to train themselves. And so I got to do the same thing when I was young, and that's where I learned most of my stuff, was doing that. Again, sitting back, detached, watching guys go through platoons. We used to run the SQT classes at the team.
Yeah.
So that was really eye-opening too, because now you had the young officers, and you'd watch them and think, this guy can't make any decisions. Why can't he make any decisions? Oh, it's because he's shooting his weapon right now and he shouldn't be. Give him a 2x4, give him a stick, let him get off his gun and he'll figure it out. And then you actually learn how to do that for yourself. So, yeah, if you really want to learn something, it's really advantageous to have an opportunity to teach it as well.
Yeah. That was also where I learned how to, like, brief and not I wouldn't say public speak, but, like, when you're talking to team guys, you better be squared away. Because they are chomping at the bit.
Oh, yeah.
To, like, sense any weakness or
attack.
Anything that you say that's maybe not tactically correct. So it's where I learned to be very deliberate about the way I spoke in public and debriefed.
Yeah, and if you don't have anything smart to say, don't say anything. And if you have a thought that you haven't thought through, either think through it or present it in such a way that it's not like an aggressive attack. That's absolutely true. You're in a SEAL platoon. You don't have to be in training. You're in a SEAL platoon and you disagree with someone else. What are the chances that you're 100% right?
Yeah.
The chances that you're 100% right are almost zero. So eventually, probably 2 weeks into my first platoon, I realized, I'm very seldom going to be 100% right. Why don't I present ideas as if they're an idea, not some perfectly formulated, perfectly constructed notion that is 100% true? Because there's so few things that are like that.
Yeah.
Even like I talk about in leadership strategy and tactics, the OIC that I had, that was awesome. He knew more than all of us combined. And he would present ideas as if they were suggestions and ideas. And he was always open to changing those ideas if somebody said something smarter. So you get to see that stuff over and over again. That's what's crazy though. When you're working at Tradet, as you see a platoon tonight, do 3, 4, 5 runs. Another platoon do 3, 4, 5 runs. And then a few weeks later, you're going to see 2 other platoons with a bunch of different leadership do the same runs, basically the same runs with the same people. And the variable is the leadership. And then a few weeks after that, you get to do it again and again and again and again. And you just start to see what works and what doesn't work. And it's real obvious after a certain point. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hey, if you want to get into these a little bit deeper, or you want to talk to us directly, you can go to extremeownership.com. You can join our online leadership academy. We talk about this stuff. This stuff is what we live for. And in the meantime, thank you for listening to us. Now go lead.